So, Test. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this May Patreon. First of all, it will be 2 parts. So, there will be one part with the build-up and second part with shading, but I will go into the details with that in the little intro, as always. So, in this month, we will build minerals. I think it's a really nice topic to deal with them, to build them up, to shade them, light them, etc., animate them, and then combine it, of course, with products and so on. So here you can see just like a quick overview of a few style frames, quick style frames I did. So what we will do, we will first of all, in the first part, we will build a system that can create those little individual mineral pieces. And after that, what we will do, we will basically mash them together with Redshift proxies. Of course, you can also do that in other render engines with instancing, so Octane, Karma, V-Ray, and so on. Basically, render engines are in essential the same, so you can build it up basically with every other render engine. And we will deal this month with Redshift. Yes. Here you can see a few style frames. So we will start with the build up, and after the build up, we will continue with R&D on lighting, shading. So this will be the second part, transformation, animation, etc. I will give you a quick rundown. So, for example, what we could do is like a more of an animated mineral turn. They're like a few things we can do. Where's the other thing? There's 1 second. Oh, here it is. Let me just get that into here. We can also play like with time, so like a quick simple transformation over quaternions. We can play with scale, of course. I already incorporated that here, and we can do R&D on that and how we can like transform it a little bit. And let me dive into, let's solo those. This will be our, basically our first setup. So our initial setup where we build those mineral pieces. It will take like a second to calculate here. And the cool thing is with this setup, we can basically incorporate different styles. So for example, we can make them a little bit more organic, a little bit more rough, longer, elongated, wider, and so on. So let me get. So this is currently, this is like a high-res version. Of course, you can play with a lower version too. So for example, later when we export the proxies, we will poly reduce it, and we will also introduce a mask for our minerals. So with that mask, we then can, let me get the style frame again. With this mask, we then can, wait, it will just pop up here in a second, I think. Yes. With the mask, let me get the mask here. We can then later manipulate shaders, so we can blend it, for example, blending with two materials, blending with colors, and so on. So this is like another thing we will do. And yeah, this is like the setup. Here's some non-used things. And I will give you now a quick rundown of the setup. So we will end up with something like that here. And then we will basically mesh it together. And yeah, this will be like the final meshing process. Cool. So we will start with random circles in random directions. And we will work with the point velocity here. And the cool thing is we can easily like change the seed. We can play with the cone angle. Then we will go over each little copy. And apologies, I got a new mouse and I need to recalculate my human brain and my automated hand system to get better with this mouse. But yeah, we will then create our first like individual mineral instances and smaller instances, and we will merge them together in the end. And of course we will go over the loop, for example 25 times in this case, and end up with a mineral. The cool thing is we can then later, for example, get that one here. This is like more of an elongated shape now. Let's go, I don't know, like 15 pieces. Pipe it in here. And let the loop do the job. And yes, I know a lot of foretalking, but I think it's pretty good for the process. Of course, you can skip this. So now we've got like a way more elongated setup, which is also pretty cool. But of course, we can do R&D on that. For example, also with like organic smoothing, etc. What I did down here a little bit. So yeah, this will be our main tree, and let's start. And it's not that complicated. Let me get just okay. So let's go. Delete that. Oh, here are so many things that I don't need anymore, or that we don't need anymore. So let's start. Let's save this file, and we will start with a simple sphere. So just place your geometry node and dive inside with double click. And in the geometry node, we will press tab again, or you can press right click. And we'll start with a sphere. So the sphere will be basically our base shape. So it will not resemble the final shape, but we'll use it as like a starting container to scatter points. What we can do, of course, we can use other shapes. So we can also do R&D on that later. And we'll start with like a simple sphere. And let's get that to polygon. And for example, I want a more elongated final output. So what I can do, I can just change the radius here and make our sphere a little bit more elongated. So after that, I want to place down a VDB from polygons. And with this VDB from polygons, we will convert basically our sphere to VDB. So basically 3-dimensional pixels called voxels. And we've got now a VDB volume, but we don't want that. I want a fog VDB, so not a surface distance VDB. I want a simple fog VDB. And we can decrease the voxel size to get a little bit more resolution. And let's just change that to dark. So now we've got voxels. We got roughly 1 million voxels, and we can scatter points into the fog. So after the VDB, we will place down a scatter, and you can already see we've got some points in there. So the cool thing is we can, for example, change the shape here, and of course the scatter will automatically follow. So yeah, basically procedural workflow, like stuff like that. And now we can determine our first initial count for our mineral. So how many little minerals will be in our mineral? That's basically fully up to you. You can go for 1,000. You then of course can play with scale. I will go for like 20 now, or let's go 19, rule of odds. And you can play with the relaxed iterations here. So normally I go for 5 in that case, but you can totally play with it. After that, what I want to do is to get a little p-scale on there. So what I want to do is to randomize the scale of our copies of the circle that we will do later. What you can do, there are of course multiple ways. Let me show you a few of them. There's the attribute wrangle way. I also got a little preset here. It's like basic code. So you can copy that code. And let's just get a copy to points here. Copy the points. And this will be the circle. Or let's just get a sphere here to get a representation of the p-scale. Let's go for primitive. Yeah, now you got your random p-scale. But there are more nodes. So, for example, there is the randomize, of course. The randomize will randomize the color, but we want the p-scale. P-scale, then you can go for custom ramp, for example, and scale it here. And then if you, if you want to change the seed, you got it here. Then there is a float attribute adjust. Attribute adjust float. It will directly like initialize the p-scale attribute, set initial, and then for example you can go for random. And I really like this node because you've got a lot of control, and you just place it down and it's there, and the node will basically do the job. So the cool thing is you got here, like in the vex, like with the vex wrangle, you got your min and maximum scale, you got a seed, and you got a post process, so you can clamp it, for example, if you want. Then there is the WOP way, so you can do it with an attribute WOP, of course. So we'll intake the point number, make a random out of it, and with the random value we can fit that, and we can bind export it to p-scale. And what we then can do, can get a multiplier and a parameter to multiply the overall scale later. And what we also can do, we can promote those two parameters here to influence them. So the maximum value and the minimum value. Yes, those are like 4 quick ways to randomize the p-scale, which is pretty cool because, of course, in Houdini you've always got like several ways to achieve your goal. I will go for, I don't know, let's just go with that here. Or with the wax. Let's go with the wax version. And now what I want to do is to change the direction a little bit. But first of all, let's get rid of the sphere, and I want a circle. Let's create a circle here. And what I want to do is to pipe up or ramp up the divisions a little bit to get more resolution later. And yeah, we've got our circle now, we've got it into the copy to points, and now we need to change the direction a little bit. And the cool thing is we can do that with point velocity. The point velocity will randomize the velocity attribute, and let's just visualize that. Let's go conical noise. And now you can already see it, so we can like bend it a little bit around a cone. We can give it a certain direction. We can manipulate the direction to any angle that we like, or to any direction. There's another thing, you can like intake a direction attribute, so you can read in a direction, a vector attribute, and use that as a initial input. And what I want to do, I want to just simply place an attribute wrangle and want to just tell add n or v add n equals v add v. And now what this little code snippet will do, it will just tell the normals or read in the velocity attribute from the point velocity and shift that to the normals. And now you can see, let's just make that light again. And now you can see we've got our, a little basic reorientation on our little discs here, which is pretty cool because we can quickly manipulate them, we can shift them. And what you also can do, let me just get here, look at the scale. Okay, that should be fine. And a cool thing, of course, you can then adjust it. For example, 1.25, and the scatter would be, I don't know, let's change the global seed. To something like that, and I want them a little bit bigger. Just, okay, nice. So after that, what I want to do is to go over each little disk. So we will use a for each loop. Let's place down a for each connected piece. And of course we can color it if you want that. And let's make it a little bit bigger because we need to fit some stuff in there. What I want to do is to calculate now the tangent on the points. So let's get a primitive, a poly of frame. Yes, poly frame. And what I want to do, I want to disable the normal name and keep the tangent name and just get the normal attribute in here. And now you can see all normals are basically inwards. And the cool thing is we can use that to basically play around with our noise, so we can displace our disk with a noise pattern, for example. What I want to do, I want to reverse the normals quickly. So that will be add n equals minus add n. Whoops. And let's just call it reverse. And this will be init normals. And after that, we can already place our little attribute WAP. So what we can do, attribute WAP. Let's just place that right down here. And this will be add noise. Let's dive inside. And here, like several ways. So you can use like a simple anti-alias noise, what I also did. And displace all along normal. And you can already see, maybe the scale is too much. So let's go for 0.35. Let's see what I did here. Okay, 3.5. And let's go away from the 0 offset, and we can adjust the frequency a little bit. So maybe, I don't know, 4, 3.9. I think that should be fine. And just make sure that we are like unique for each iteration. What we could do, we can pipe in here our metadata, and we can import the detail attribute, for example. And we want an integer and second input, and we want the attribute iteration. So you can see, for example, when you go here on your geometry spreadsheet, detail, you can see this is now iteration number 18. So we currently are working on the 18th circle. And what we then can do, we can use, for example, 18 to like shift the offset. Okay, so now when we connect this to the output, you can see we've got a bunch of displaced circles now, which is pretty cool. And we can continue to work on them. So what I want to do now, I want to like recalculate our normal vector. So currently the normal vector is something like that, and we cannot use that. So because I want to displace our circle again to a certain amount, but to other direction, we just recalculate the normal and we're good to go. So recalculate the normal, and what I want to do is to basically shift our displaced disk into different directions. And we'll again do that with the iteration and the fit function. So what we will do, we will get WAP, an attribute WAP again. And let's get again the metadata here. And we will again import the iteration, make a random out of it, and fit our final displays amount. So, whoops, displays along normal. Just the same. Then import detail attribute, and we'll of course use the second input. And it's not a vector attribute, it's an integer attribute. And it's called iteration. Iteration, and we will make a random out of that. And the random will spit a value out between 0 and 1. So the cool thing is we can fit that perfectly. And let's promote those two parameters. Connect that one here. Connect that to the amount. And now you can already see that we will like basically shift our disk into the other direction. So what I want to do the same thing. So like right here. And I want to negate the scale, so -1 for that direction. And what we also could do is to add an integer value just a random integer value to our iteration to get other seed. After that, what I want to do is to basically merge those together. So we now have got our positive value, we've got our negative shift. And what I want to do, I want to merge them both together. So let's just merge them here and then skin them and polyfill them. So let's go for the skin. And I also want to do the polyfill. And I don't know what I did here. I think it was, yeah, a single polygon. Let's go for a single polygon. Let's recalculate the nulls. And there you go. Now when we connect that to the output, you can see we've already got our random alignment of our initial form. And of course, if you like take it back or stronger, elongate it, of course, then you need more of them. So like 35, I don't know. You can play around with that, of course. Let's go for let's go for 25, and I want here 1.5. I think should be fine. And what I want to do is to get a little bit more of an angle in here. 25. That looks cool, especially that piece here. Okay, now we've got our first layer. And what I want to do here, I want to basically build up like a little second layer. So let's just remesh them. VDB from polygons. And let's go for a good resolution. 0.01 should be fine, I think. Maybe I used a higher value. Yes. Yes, I used a higher value here. So this will like slow down the loop a little bit, but not that much. And I want to convert the VDB back to basically polygons. Of course, what you can do, you can make it like 0.05. I think that should be fully fine. And what I want to do, I want to get the middle segment and make a mask out of that. So mask from geometry, and we will just grab here the middle segment. That's a cool thing. So those are our two offsetted segments, and we've got always like the rough middle segment here. When you don't work with the offset, just with an nominated value, so something like that, you will get the perfect center. But we introduced a little seed in here, so it will be a little bit offsetted, but that's fully fine. So grab that. And what I want to do, I want to build a mask for the scatter point. So we can use the mask to then get the scatter to scatter onto the mask. So like just use the mask for scatter reference. What we will do now, so here, let me just get you a quick rundown. So we will just, whoops, visualizer. We will get a simple mask here. We'll mask out then points again, and yeah, just use that for further detailing. So let's get a mask here. And what I want to do, I want to sharpen the mask a little bit. So maybe something like that should be fine. Should be fine. And what I want to do then, I want to scatter again on that specific mask. So density attribute will be mask. And now, for example, I want to place, I don't know, 3 points maybe. I think that should be fine. I think I used 5. Okay, let's go for 5. And then again, a second. And we'll use points. And let's take them down a little bit. And what I want to do, what I didn't do here, attribute blur. Of course, you can blur it right in here a little bit. Let's scale it down. And I want to blur the mask again a little bit. Should be fine. And then we can rescatter more points onto our mask. I don't know what count I used here, 44. Let's use 66 on here. And then what I want to do, I want to get our, basically our normals transferred, and we will copy some lines on there. So let's just get attribute transfer from that one here. And what I want to do, I want to get, whoops. I want to get the normals. And then same thing, let's just grab our scale here. And copy the points. Wrong input. And we need a line. Let's get a line. And yeah, we're wrong direction. Let's get it into the right direction. And with this line, we can basically sweep it and play with it. So now we've got our distribution of lines basically floating on top of our mineral here. And another thing what we could do. Yeah, let's just do that later. Now what we can do, we can again go through a loop, or I think you don't need a loop here. Let's go for a resample. And what I want to do, I want to give a okayish amount of detail. And now you can see we introduced our, just recolor that, our curve view. So curve view basically a value from 0 to 1. So you can recheck that in the geometry spreadsheet. And we can play with that later or not. And what we will do here, whoops, we'll just sweep them to get them into little round tubes. So sweep round tube. And now you can see we'll need a cap. So for example, single polygon. And let's check here. Something like that. And the radius. And the columns. Let's introduce a little bit more of a resolution. I think a little bit more resolution should be fine in that case. And after that, what I want to do, of course, we can go for each, but let's just introduce a little bit of noise. Of course, we could. Let's just go with the grid here. And the cool thing is, with the grid, we may get a little bit more detailing in the noise. What you, of course, or what we also could do, yes, let's just use that method. I think it needs a little bit longer to calculate, but I think we can get a little bit more detail out of that. I want the cap scale not too round. Of course you can play with that, but I currently want the scale to be like not perfect, or like a little bit imperfect. Maybe there is a mineral that got those round caps on it. I don't know. Let's get an anti-alias noise and another anti-alias noise and displace the whole thing along the normal. So position, noise into amount. And let's go. Maybe we need a little bit more resolution, but I think for now that's like fully fine for the detailing. So we've got a little bit of noise in here. And now what we can do, we can basically merge both together, and we will disconnect or split them in the next phase. So this is currently our final outcome, and what I want to do, I want to just introduce a group, let's call it split. yeah, split 1. Let's call it split mineral. And just let the loop run. I think that should be pretty quickly. And of course, what you also can do, you can... Oh my god, you can compile the loop. So if you want to compile it and make it faster, you can do that, because I think no node is here not non-compilable. Let's go for large. Yeah, should be possible to compile it. And of course we can do that in a second. And now what I want to do, I want to mesh the whole thing together. So let's just copy that one here. And mesh it. And here's also the part where you can do like R&D on it. So for example, for me, this is a little bit maybe too much on the secondary layer. Of course, you can then include a third layer too, and a fourth layer, a fifth layer, and so on. So let's just go for 4 scatter points, and maybe we'll also decrease just have a look. Yeah, that looks better. Maybe we'll also decrease them here back to, I don't know, let's go for 40. And now of course you can iterate on that, and I will show you one thing so you can smooth the thing out completely, which I think also looks pretty cool. And let's get that. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. And I really like this kind of detail here. Cool. Okay, let's just smooth that thing out. So you can get a smooth VDB, for example, and smooth it like a little bit. I think that's really cool to do. So like 2 smoothing iterations is like fully fine. To not get like rid of the detail, but to just yeah, make the transition between the second and main layer a little bit better. So like I think once iteration is fully fine, because in the end, detailing, of course you can do it via geometry, but we will also do it via with bump maps, shading, etc. So, and for example, you can of course move that fully down. I don't know, 25 here. Let's see how that will look. And it will get to like a more liquefied state. I don't know. And then you go here like, I don't know. Let's go crazy. 2. Yeah, that's crazy too. Let's go for 150. Smooth it out. Or what you also can do, you can go for attribute blur. Blur precision, proximity. Yeah, just do something like that. I don't know. That's of course fully up to you. But like a smooth iteration of 1, I think is pretty good to work with. Then what I want to do is to split the group here. And I think I VDB remeshed it, yeah. Just VDB remesh that thing here to one piece, and it does not need that such high resolution. I think 0.1 should be fine, yes. And after that's mask from geometry, so we will get our mask here. This will be our main geometry, this will be our reference geometry. And now let that node cook, and we can visualize it here. And of course we need a way smaller radius. So for example 0.05. And in the end we could blur it, I think, a little bit. So let's go for attribute blur and visualize the mask. Let's blur the mask a little bit. Just get a little smoother transition. 325 on 0.75. And here, after that we can poly reduce it. Reduce. You don't need to do it, but I will just do it. Maybe the proxies are a little bit faster. The proxies are fast enough. The cool thing is you can throw so many geometry into the proxies, and then like scatter thousands or million of proxies, and it will still render. So let's go for 25. I don't know, should be fine. 300,000. And then after that, what I want to do, I want to nominate or normalize the scale. So what I want to do is to place down a match size and just crumble it down to a normalized scale, and this will be our proxy mineral. Down here. And then we'll just grab the proxy output. So this will be the redshift proxy output. Whoops. Let's just get that one here. And what I want to do, discard unused attributes, just disable that. And I think that's it. Yeah, motion blur, we got not non-animated stuff here. We'll animate it later, like scale, rotation, etc. Yeah, that's basically it. I think I used a proxy path. Yeah, proxy mineral. Let's just get the path in here, and let's call the folder proxy underscore tutorial. And when we write that out, you can see we've got our proxy file, our .rs file, and we can then use that later. Now what you can do, this is like the little mission for the next lesson. You can play around with different wait, let me just get that here. You can play around with different initial inputs. So for example, play around with the scatter. Let's just play around with the scatter quickly. And that thin one. And just make 3, 4, 5, 6 different iterations and write that out to your proxy. So I will just show it to you in a second. So we've got that now here. It's much smaller, for example. And then let it run through our pre-setup here. So the mask and the poly reduce. And when that's finished, we'll then just write it out as a second proxy. So you can just go here too. And now we've got 2 proxies, and you can make 10, 20, or you can build a TOPS system and make 100 of them. So later we can use those proxies to then import them into our Redshift packed proxy, and we can cycle and randomize between them. So we got a different proxy on each scattered point, so we get more variety in our later style frame. So this is the mission now for the next part, and in the next part we'll do the proxy setup, we'll do a little bit of animation and shading. So yes, I will see you in the second part.